in the top right in the red, we have our Zerg player. It is Ziki.
And on the bottom left, in the blue, sporting that command center skin, it is the Polish Terran Ziggy.
So let me ask you about some mind games or metagaming here. It's best of one. Ziggy probably thinks that he's probably the underdog, but also, probably Ziki probably thinks he's the favorite. So if you're either side of the coin here, what's your thoughts going into it? Do you think that Ziki's expecting like Ziggy to cheese him, and then Ziggy should just go for like some type of greedy build? Or do you think like, maybe Ziggy acknowledges that probably Ziki thinks like that, and then he's just going to play something weird? Well, I already have to say there's a wall going up, so this looks like it could be something like 2-port wraith.
Yeah, I don't know. It really comes down to the players, obviously. But I would suspect that Ziki, he probably thinks he's the better player. Of course, he is the more established player. And generally, especially being a macro player that Ziki is, I feel like when you have kind of that expectation that you're the better player, yeah, that is a gas. You kind of just expect, you kind of want to play as solidly as possible. Whereas when you're someone in Ziggy's shoes and you're kind of that underdog, it can lead to more of a tendency to just throw in something crazy. But if Ziggy really thinks, Ziggy might be one of those players where they think they're really strong, they think they have very much a lot of confidence, then he might still play it straight up anyway. But I know for a fact that Ziggy does not play kind of the traditional bio 2-racks type TVZ. He does go for these tech builds, he does go for these mech builds, and it might not be an all-in, but it is going to be a mech build.
Well, this is an extremely fast factory, and if Ziki knows factory timings, he should realize that this is 15 seconds faster than normal, and the only way you can get a factory up this fast is if you went 10 gas. That means that Ziggy has hurt his econ quite a bit to do this, and now the drone gets locked in. I think he wants to see whether it's going to be Wraith or if it's going to be like 2 factory Vulture run by, but I think because of how fast the factory was, it can really only ever be 2-port Wraith. So this is going to be a drone loss for him, and I think that's a big mistake, especially going for a 9 pool. He's already going to have a low drone count. I like the fact that he ended up only building what looks like 2 lings. This is at least going to force Ziggy to build 1 Marine, at least be honest a little bit, and not power to infinity and beyond. But look at that drone. I'm surprised it's still alive.
Yeah, and the thing is, Ziggy has been mining gas this entire time, and he's just going to build a starport in front of this drone. That's very suspect, because obviously, I mean, scouting is half the battle, and especially when you do these types of one base builds. Okay, I was really worried, because if he just builds 2 ports in front of that drone, that would have been a complete disaster. But I mean, maybe that's part of Ziggy's plan. If the Zerg only scouts 1 port and probably sees the factory building, then maybe he doesn't think it's going to be 2-port. But the gig is already a bit up. I mean, a Wraith is going to be expected, and whether it's 1 Wraith or 2, you're still going to make Hydralisks. And probably the Hydra Den is going to be going down at the front there for Ziki any moment now. Otherwise, I mean, like you said, Nyokin, that was a really fast gas. This Wraith timing is going to be quick. So it is going to be dangerous here a bit for the Hungarian Zerg player. But, I mean, he saw what was going on. Like, he knows there's no expansion. He knows this is a really fast starport. So I'd be surprised if he gets caught off guard by these Wraiths.
Yeah, we see the Hydra Den being placed. We also see the Spire being placed. So I'm curious if he's also going to get speed overlords, or what the real purpose of this Spire is. Of course, it seems like he's going to be going into Mutalisk, but maybe not. Maybe there's actually lurkers being upgraded. Remember, this is a live game, so you can't see the upgrades. Now, if you're Terran in this scenario, and obviously you suspect that Zerg expects this to be 2-port Wraith, like, what's your move to get back into this game? Are you just backstabbing? Are you just picking off overlords? Are you picking off drones? What does Terran need to do to kind of keep this Zerg in check?
Yeah, I don't know, Nayak. And I mean, the thing is, you can't really drastically deviate from this. So I feel like you just make your wraiths, you kill these overlords, and you just play standard. The thing is, it's not the kind of build where it's like, oh no. I feel like Zerg, for example, is a kind of race that can quickly adapt. Like, okay, you just saw my Spire, I'm just going to make Lurkers. Or you saw my Hydrogen, I'm going to make Mutalisks. Terran doesn't really function like that. So once the gig is up, all that means is that the Zerg player is kind of going to be more mentally prepared, more kind of build order prepared for what you're throwing at them. But as a Terran player, you can't really change it up too much. I mean, he did commit to these 2 ports. He should make at least 5 wraiths. And, against someone who's making... The thing is, he is playing against 2 hatch Mutalisks. And he knows it's only 2 hatcheries. So in this situation, you definitely can delay your command center and you can continue making wraiths, as opposed to, for example, if Ziggy went for a 3rd hatchery and kept making Hydralisks, then the 2-port wraithing player would want to try and take an expansion a bit earlier. But as is, I feel like Ziggy will want to go up to maybe that 7 to 8 wraith count, and he will probably be making his command center in his main. But that being said, he could also put down a couple of racks and go for a bust.
Well, I have to point out he put the add-on to his factory, which makes me think that if he had seen Hydras, he wanted to go into potential tank play. And, that kind of worries me, because that makes me think that he's not feeling too confident in potential micro. I was watching somebody play yesterday with Wraiths versus Hydras, and they have, I think, 1 or 2 more range than a Hydra. And he was just picking off Hydras nonstop without taking much damage. So there is potential to just, murder Hydralisk despite going Wraiths. Now here come the cloaked Wraiths. I don't think the Overlords have speed yet. They are slow, but Mutalisks just instantly engage on top of those Wraiths, and 1 more volley will pick off one of them, I think. But it looks like both players are just going to back off for now. It's 7 Wraiths versus how many Mutalisks for Ziggy?
A lot. 7. Well, as the 2-porting player, like, you don't really want to be looking for fights. You want to just go around and try and snipe drones and then run away. But, already Ziggy kind of wasting some of his cloak, taking a lot of damage. He is still making wraiths. It doesn't look like he has a command center going. He is going to put down a couple of turrets at his natural, but he hasn't started his command center just yet. And this is extremely late, even for a 2-port build. And now Overlord speed has finished.
Oh, no.
And really, when the Zerg, this is going to be a good engagement though for Ziggy, because the Overlords are really far, and that's a lot of wraiths, so they can just completely shoot down these Mutalisks. But the Overlords are going to get in range to detect these wraiths, and turrets are going to be in position. But look, he's making so many turrets that Ziggy's just not going to have his natural anytime soon. And really, I mean, Ziggy actually, the Zerg does have a lot of drones behind this, so this is definitely a situation that favors the Zerg player. And generally, okay, more shots getting taken onto those wraiths, and there's a tank there as well. This is really not a good situation to be in as Terran.
Well, the initial wraith shots looked really good, but now Ziggy is getting way more connections than Ziggy is, and he's dwindled down to about 6 wraiths. Another big hit. Don't know if any wraiths actually fell there. Yeah, 1 ended up falling down. Meanwhile, Ziggy's still holding strong with 10 Mutalisks. Sure, he cannot plow through all these turrets, but when he came in there and I think probably got a glimpse of the command center just starting, and meanwhile his 3rd base is going up, he's gonna be feeling really good. Plus 1 weapon already done. So actually it looks like he really does just want to kill these turrets. The wraiths are coming in. I think they're out of cloak, so they kind of just have to fight if they're gonna try and engage the Mutalisk. He takes out the Overlord, but like I said, the energy is lacking down to just 3 wraiths now.
Yeah, I mean, losing your wraiths there is disastrous, really, because behind this, there's no racks going. Only now I think he's adding the academy there. No, armory. So going into Valkyries, but I feel like it's just too little too late at this point. Everything has kind of crumbled for Terran, and once you lose your wraith count and you're down to 3 wraiths and you have no other production, that's it. Look, and now Ziggy is just diving in, killing more wraiths, killing a bunch of turrets, killing everything. These Mutalisks completely uncontested. The last of the wraiths do go down. tanks going down, SCVs, long distance mining turrets, and getting destroyed, and this is going to be it for the first game here. You know, Ziggy can still try and make some turrets, try to hold on, but the Mutalist count is just overwhelming.
Yeah, the Mutalist count is just way too much. Look at that Ling try and take on a tank by himself. The tank is going to come out victorious, but more Lings flooding across the map. He has so many Mutalists. He's just right on top of the starport. The armory just finished, but, you know, Valkyries, we were talking about them yesterday. They're equal to a command center, right, Mihai? I don't even think he was building a Valkyrie that entire time. The starport ends up falling. Tank is going to fall, and that's going to be Ziggy tapping out. And Ziggy, as expected, just has insane muta control and just picks apart Ziggy.